Tonight on Marketplace. Crash and burn. What your insurance doesn't cover.
Of no fault of mine, now my car is $10,000 less.
That could be costing Canadians millions every year.
I've paid my premiums year after year. How can that be?
An underground movement the industry doesn't want to talk about.
They often try and keep it on the down low. They don't really want a lot of publicity about it.
The biggest secret in the car insurance biz.
I don't see how any rational person can claim that diminution of value does not exist in an automobile.
We're on the snowy streets of Toronto. On the way to the scene of an accident.
We're going, Steve, we're going.
Riding along in a tow truck.
There he is.
More than 1 million accident claims are made in Canada every year. Hockey dad Richard Fisher is about to add his name to the list.
So basically what happened?
So we were just driving along heading to the hockey game, and they slowed down, and I stopped, and by the time I looked in the rearview mirror, this gentleman had driven into me.
How much damage? Any idea on yours?
He hit me pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's probably I'd hazard a guess it'd be a few $1,000s for sure.
Okay, and your insurance will cover that?
I would assume that his insurance will get in touch with my insurance,
right,
and then they'll make the adjustment.
But there's one insurance claim he can't make. The money he will lose because his car will be worth less after this crash.
What about the diminished value of the car? If you try to sell that car a year from now or less, you'll get less than you would if it hadn't been in the accident.
Well, that's crazy. Why are we paying on the insurance? I've never had it just burns me because I've never had an accident, and I've paid my insurance, I've paid my premiums year after year. How can that be?
You probably have no idea that the impact of a crash is felt long after the accident. Like when you go to sell or trade in your car. Even if it's repaired properly, the resale price could leave you thousands of dollars out of pocket. We want to find out the effect of a major accident on your car's value in the eyes of potential buyers. So we're at this used car showroom in North York, Ontario. Here's part one of our test. We're setting up two almost identical pre-owned Ford Escapes and showing them to these folks who are in the market for a used car. You can play along at home. Which one would you choose?
Do you have a preference of either one of them, looking at them? Or?
Looking at them? No, they look very much the same.
They look exactly the same to me.
Yeah, they look exactly the same.
I can't tell the difference. They're pretty much the same. Okay.
But watch what happens when we tell them the vehicle on the right had a major crash, costing thousands of dollars in repairs.
I take the one on the left.
Would you?
Oh, I'd probably go for the one on the left then.
Obviously, then I would be considering the one on the left.
It's been repaired just to the way it was before. You'd still
I'll still want to look at the one on the left.
How come?
I would expect that to be a better performing vehicle than the one on the right.
Everybody picks the car on the left, the one they're told has not been in an accident.
I think that when a car is in an accident, even though it's been completely restored, it's never the same as the original.
Now comes part two of our test. Each SUV has a $17,000 asking price. So, how much of a cut in price would they expect to get for the one that had crashed?
Well, definitely want a huge discount on that.
I don't know, 25% maybe. What do you think, hun?
Oh my goodness. I would think like at least $5,000.
And that's what is called diminished value, or as it's also known in Canada, accelerated depreciation. But what does it really mean to someone who's been in an accident? To find out, I'm taking my own car to a dealership. About a year and a half ago, my 2009 Volvo was rear-ended. Repairs were done, but I want to know how much diminished value there is if I want to trade it in.
What we're trying to find out in this story is what happens to the value of a car, even if it's repaired to look brand new, which mine was. What happens then?
Sure, we can take a look at the vehicle and get a little bit more details on the particular car, and then we'll be able to make a more accurate assessment at that time.
Okay, great.
Andrew Paravano and Pierre Story are the team of appraisers.
Well, at this point, he's going to take a look at the panels. He's looking at the rear of the vehicle just to take a look and see that everything lines up.
There's a couple of things at the back, minor things like here. Panels don't necessarily line up. You can see this is a replacement sticker. They don't quite line up as they should from the factory, so things like that. That's the first telltale.
Okay, so we're just going to go and make a few notes on the car, and then from there we'll be able to come back to you and have an answer of what a value for the vehicle is.
Great.
Okay?
It's the law here in Ontario that you have to disclose if your car has been damaged.
Let's just run this, and this will take a couple seconds, and it will give us an idea here.
And you can't hide from it.
All right, so gentlemen, what's the word?
What we found out is the CarProof claim shows a claim of $2,400 is what it took to repair that car.
Any idea how that might affect the value of the car as it is now post-accident?
Yeah, you might see a difference in value of $500 to $1,000 in terms of what we would be able to sell the car for, and of course then what we would offer you for the vehicle as a trade-in car. If it was a much, much larger repair, and if the repair was done in a substandard fashion, you could see a difference of $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 quite easily.
When you're evaluating it for less, why are you doing that?
The consumer coming in to purchase that used car is not going to pay the same amount of money for a vehicle which has been in an accident as they are for a vehicle which is otherwise perfectly fine. And so that does have a value on how much we can advertise the car for, sell the car for, and how much we can transact with a potential used car customer.
And the loss to Canadians selling or trading in their previously damaged car or truck? It could be millions every year. That's the spark that sent Peter Fan on his own quest. He's a gearhead from Surrey, BC, who loves fast, powerful muscle cars. A couple of years ago, he treated himself and bought this special limited edition Dodge Charger. Last year, Peter's girlfriend was driving it downtown. She was at a red light when a pickup truck rear-ended her.
The damage went all the way right there.
Wow. So even on the sides as well?
All the way to the side, it crumpled the whole back end. I came home and saw it and I couldn't believe my eyes. My baby.
Peter's insurance covers the cost of the repairs, about 13 grand. But because he likes to trade his car in every few years, he wants to know if the accident has changed its value.
One dealership wouldn't touch it.
What do you mean, wouldn't touch it? What do you mean?
Well, they wouldn't buy it from me.
Really?
Because they would have difficulty selling it to another buyer.
And the second dealer's evaluation?
Probably about $10,000 less is what he's offering me from market value.
What was your reaction? What did you think?
I was angry. I was angry that, of no fault of mine, now my car is $10,000 less due to somebody else's fault for hitting me.
So Peter goes back to the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, ICBC, and asks them to pay for the diminished value too.
When you proceeded with this, what was the reaction of the ICBC to it?
They basically said that there's no such thing.
No such thing? Try telling that to Nick Cabani.
This car looks in pretty good shape.
It's in very good shape, yeah. It's got the M Sports package.
He's a used car dealer in nearby New Westminster.
Any accidents?
This one here has no accidents.
And that's the first question he gets from buyers.
Usually, if we say yes, it's game over. They walk out. They're not interested anymore.
Are you stuck with the car then?
We do get stuck with cars, and we try not to buy cars with accidents, but reality is there's lots of cars on the road that have been in accidents.
People in the insurance industry, Nick, say essentially that diminished value or accelerated depreciation is kind of a mirage. It's not real. What would you say to them?
Well, it definitely is real because there is a loss. It's just who pays. It's either the insurance company, the insured, or the owner of the car.
So if it is real, does ICBC include it in their coverage? We ask, and they send us this email. ICBC does not offer this policy, and we are not aware of any other auto insurance provider in Canada that does. That means Peter Fan is out of pocket.
A thing of beauty.
An estimated $8,000 in diminished value. So now, he's suing to get it.
What basically is the claim that you're making against ICBC?
For accelerated depreciation, for the decreased value caused by the accident. ICBC needs to fix your vehicle, number one, but also reimburse you for the lost value. They're supposed to bring your vehicle back to where it was prior to the accident.
Peter isn't the only BC driver taking action. The owner of this vehicle is also looking to make a claim.
Before the accident, the car was worth about $25,000,
Right.
and afterwards it's approximately $18,500.
There's a growing underground fight for diminished value, and Rob Fournier's appraisal business is helping drivers try to recover that loss.
There isn't necessarily any specific insurance that covers it. In the cases where it does, go to insurance, it's often settled out of court, or they often try and keep it on the down low. They don't really want a lot of publicity about it. So,
why do you suspect that is?
I think that it could definitely get expensive.
For the insurance companies?
For the insurance companies, yeah.
Remember our accident victim in Toronto, Richard Fisher? Well, he could be in for another shock. His brand new SUV has been rear-ended. And now, he's about to find out if it's also lost resale value.
Okay, now what we've got here on this damage.
We asked auto body repair manager Victor Maharaj to give Richard an appraisal.
It has damaged components that definitely must be replaced. This could get costly, being that it's a brand new vehicle, but we'll bring it down and we'll take a look at the body lines, the body contour, and see where it stands.
Okay.
Okay, what we have, Richard, here as a result of the impact, a shift in the body. You can see how tailgate has dipped down as opposed to the quarter being out. At this point, it should be all symmetrical.
Okay.
So that's where we stand with that.
It's not good.
Okay, Richard, I've generated an estimate to show.
After some number crunching, Richard gets the results.
The rear bumper cover assembly itself will be overhauled so that we could change the rear bumper cover. Here we have what's called a frame rack setup.
And the diminished value?
Total loss that you'd be handed to would be just under $2,200. The unfortunate matter is, obviously, in this state, your vehicle is at the very minimal valued that much less than what it is now. So you're in the hole, let's put it that way. So if you were to sell it to somebody, at the very, very least, you'd have to give them that much of a discount on the car itself.
If Richard didn't know what diminished value was before, he sure does now.
If this is true, my agent and I are going to have a really frank conversation, because it's not good, and I'm not happy.
When we come back, we're there, as Richard has that chat with his insurance company.
Do you guys compensate me for that?
And we head down south, where coverage for diminished value is the law.
And the front of my car was smashed pretty bad. And soon after that happened, we received a check in the mail, and it said diminished value.
We're investigating why your insurance doesn't cover you when your car loses value after an accident. Richard Fisher's brand new Chevy Traverse is rear-ended and is now worth $2,200 less than he would have gotten before the crash.
You're in the hole, let's put it that way.
So, will his insurance cover that diminished value?
Good afternoon, State Farm Auto Claims speaking.
Hi, my name is Richard Fisher. I have my insurance with you folks.
Yes.
And I have a Chevy Traverse, and I was rear-ended about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
The question that I had is, the appraisal is $21,85.99. So really, the value of my vehicle has dropped by this price. Do you guys compensate me for that?
That is a really good question. Yeah, hang on 1 second, okay? Hold on.
Thank you.
After being on hold for 15 minutes, Richard hangs up and tries again.
I got in a closed loop where I was put on hold to get through to you. I probably sat on there for 15 minutes. You guys should have an option where I can hit zero, by the way. Do you guys cover diminished value?
Instead of answering the question directly, the agent points to some other additional coverage Richard has.
It's called your OPCF 43, which is the removing depreciation deduction.
Okay.
And you have that. You have added that. You have that on your current
But
policy.
it only applies if his car is a write-off.
And that covers diminished value.
Right now, your car, like, it's not a total. So, like, if you're asking if that's going to go into effect now, no, because your car is not a possible write-off.
So, Richard is out of luck. State Farm does not cover the $2,200 he lost in resale value because he got rear-ended. But it's not impossible to find a place where diminished value is covered. You just have to head due south to Georgia.
Has your car been wrecked and fixed? Then it definitely lost resale value.
For almost a decade, it's been the law here that insurance companies must pay it.
Let Diminished Value of Georgia help you get the money you are owed.
This is one of many businesses that have sprung up since the law came into effect, appraising damaged cars that have been repaired, like this one.
Here's just, we're going to confirm what happened to the car. We want to make sure all the repairs are done right.
Unlike in Canada, Antoine Roched's diminished value report gets submitted not to a lawyer, but directly to the insurance company.
She has $13,000 worth of work on her car. I'm going to put diminished value somewhere between $3,000 to $4,000. Okay, so that is what my assessment would be, and that's what she would present to her insurance company.
4.5.
And here, insurance companies even pay you for diminished value if the accident is your fault. Anna Park was in an accident last year.
Anna, first of all, tell me about your accident. What happened?
Well, what happened was that I rear-ended the car, and the front of my car was smashed pretty bad. And soon after that happened, we received a check in the mail, and it said, from the insurance company, and it said diminished value.
Just like that, Anna gets an automatic check for $125. But Georgians have the option to seek an appraisal and ask the insurance company for more.
After diminished value of Georgia, and Antoine was done with the process, we received $2,300.
Wow.
So yeah.
How long did it take you from the time you got that first check in the mail saying you got $125 for diminished value to the time you got your $2,300?
Well, after I found Antoine, the whole process took maybe a week. It was really fast.
And that's the way diminished value works in Georgia. We head across town to meet the man who helped make it the law.
The case in BC.
It's designed to fully compensate you, and we haven't seen any significant change in insurance rates because of it.
Until recently, John Oxendine was the state's commissioner of insurance.
The insurance companies in Georgia have the affirmative duty to consider whether or not there's been diminution of value every time they adjust an automobile claim.
How much resistance was there from the insurance industry against a law which seemingly would make them pay out a lot more money?
It was Mabry versus State Farm. State Farm is the largest automobile insurer in the United States, and they fought it for years and said it would be terrible and devastating if they lost that case. Well, they did lose the case, and it really hasn't been. The sky has not fallen down as a lot of people predicted it may.
Back in Surrey, we show Peter Fan that commercial for Antoine Roched's business.
Has your car been wrecked and fixed? Then it definitely lost resale value.
I love it.
Yeah?
That's the way it should be.
Can you imagine someday diminished value of BC?
Absolutely. I hope so anyways.
So, how likely is that? When we come back, are Canadian insurance companies ready to go down the road to diminished value? We are on the road, trying to find out why Canadian insurance companies don't cover diminished value. Peter Fan's suing ICBC. He wants the $8,000 his car lost in resale value after it was rear-ended.
Why should I be out of pocket?
We ask ICBC to come on camera and talk to us about diminished value. They decline. In fact, none of the top 5 private insurers in Canada want to talk about diminished value either. Not Intact Financial, not Aviva, not TD Meloche Monex, not State Farm, and not the cooperators. Even the industry's own association, the Insurance Bureau of Canada, won't talk to us about diminished value. So now, we're off to Burlington, Ontario. There, we meet someone who knows the ins and outs of the insurance biz.
Good morning.
Hi, Tom Harrington from Marketplace.
Jim Bonnet. How are you?
Consultant Jim Bonnet has surveyed insurance companies on this issue.
Do the insurance companies actually believe there's such a thing as diminished value?
Oh, yes, very definitely. We wrote our letters to probably 10 major insurers, and we all got answers back. The same thing, no, it's not covered, or some would say, well, we're looking into it, but no one came back and said, we'll cover it. Okay.
But do they agree that it exists? The concept they believe.
Oh, they know what it is.
What reasons did they give for not wanting to pay it?
Basically, because it's very hard to quantify. If you drive it till the wheels fall off and just sell it to the wrecker, there is no diminished value because you haven't incurred any. So it's because you can't quantify it is why they don't want to pay for it.
We put that argument to John Oxendine in Atlanta.
If you're not going to sell your car ever, why should you get diminution of value?
Well, first off, I don't know if anybody knows if they're never, ever going to sell their car. But regardless if you intend to sell your car, you own that car. You have the property right to sell it whenever you want to. But if you are not compensated for that reduced value, you have not been put into the position you were immediately before that accident. And that's what an insurance policy is supposed to do.
Why is it, do you think, Jim, that nobody in the insurance industry here in Canada wants to talk to us about this? The IBC wouldn't do it. The Big Five wouldn't do it. The ICBC in British Columbia wouldn't do it. I'm wondering why some people call it the biggest secret in the insurance business.
Well, it probably is. I think they're all mixed up as to where it should be. I'm not totally disagreeing with you that it shouldn't be covered, but I honestly, for my 49 years in the business, I don't know how you would cover it.
But yet it's still a topic that seems radioactive within the industry itself.
Yes, yeah, and that's where it's at. You know, no, we won't. Yes, you should. Where do we go from here?
We go back to BC, where the issue of diminished value is on the horizon. And car appraiser Rob Fournier can see change coming.
You know, there's a tipping point, and where they'll have to accept that it is part of insuring cars.
What's got to happen for it to become a tipping point?
I think that people have to start holding insurance companies to account and actually going through the process of getting back that accelerated depreciation.
How's your homework?
It's been a year since Peter Fan's girlfriend was in that crash. He's still waiting for his day in court.
It's not about the money at this point. It's all about the principle now in the fight.
Peter's hoping to take that fight as far as he can. Maybe even set a precedent that will make diminished value coverage the law in Canada.
If I don't fight for it or somebody else fight for it, right, nobody's going to win.
And next week on Marketplace.
That's not fair. Okay, that's not fair.
We're checking in on some of your favorite stories.
We've had hundreds of complaints from former customers of yours.
Seeing what's changed since we first put these companies, products, and people to the test. We're breaking down who's been busted since we busted them.
The Rick Mercer Report starts now on CBC.